Good morning, members, and to the viewing public who are watching through our social media platform, and to the mayor. Good morning, mayor, and your staff who are present here in the chamber. The chair will now call this budget hearing to order with 11 members present for the Committee on Ways and Means. We have duly established a quorum. So with that, do I hear any motion for adoption of today's agenda? There is a motion to adopt today's agenda, and it has been seconded. Discussion on that motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion adopted. We move further on our order of business. We are now on item 3, public comments. And if there's any members of the public who are here to make public comments, you may do so. Seeing that there is no members of the public that's going to provide comments, we move further down to item 4, which is introduction and statement from the chair. So, good morning, Mayor, and to your team. Thank you for coming before this August body to discuss your proposed request to the fiscal year 2026 budget and what is submitted by the administration from their proposal our way. So today, we are here with members of the Ways and Means. I am Chairman J.P. Sablon. To my left, we have Vice Chair B.J. Atto. And we have our floor leader, member Marisa Flores. To her left, we have Representative Vincent O'Don. And to his left, we have Representative Roman Benavente. To his left, we have Representative Julie Ogo. And the other side of the aisle, we have Representative Joe Flores. To his left, we have Representative Malcolm Omar. And to his left, we have Representative Denita Yangtimay. And to her left, we have Representative T.J. Maglonia. And to his left, we have Leader Representative Roy Adda. Also assisting our committee on today's order of business, we have our bureau staff with Legal Counsel Joe Hallahan. We have our budget analysis T.G. Rabago. We have our senior legislative assistant, Ms. Claire Sablon. We also have our IT, Mr. Delbert, and we have also our Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Will Ogun. We are also assisted also the Committee on Ways and Means. We have Ms. V and Ms. Jasmine Camacho from the Office of OMB. So with that said, at this time, Mayor, I give you the floor for your opening statement, and you have the floor right now.
Buenos dias, good morning, and tiro. Mr. Chairman, member of this body, for scheduling us today to appear before you. Mr. Chairman, a member of this body, as the mayor for this municipality, I want to humbly, seek your utmost support and consideration on the request for the municipality of Saipan. The governor's proposed budget is, we're asking additional of 1 million on top of the governor's proposal budget for the municipality of Saipan. Mr. Chairman, a member of this body, the mayor there's a lot of activities in the community that I considered unfunded mandate, the movement of the mayor. Before I go down the line, I want to apologize. I want to introduce my staff. On my right is the Chief of Staff, the Mayor's Office, Priscilla Alcapo. And the right of the Chief is Ray De La Cruz, is handling the operation, and he's also the compliance officer of the Mayor. And the right of Mr. Ray De La Cruz is Juanet Sablon, the HR manager for the Mayor's Office. On my left is the Budget Officer, Mr. Manny Palingina. And I also have a couple of staff back here, the Public Information, the Dog Control Manager, and the Procurement Officer. So I have my full staff, the managers in different sections in the Mayor's Office. Again, Mr. Chairman, a member of this body, I know all of you have witnessed the Mayor's movement in the community. The Mayor cannot really say no to the client, our clients, not just the Mayor client, because I'm serving all the 5 precincts in the island, and a couple of you that have worked closely with the Mayor to serve our people. And I'm looking on this thing also, Mr. Chairman, and member of this body, the 1 million requests on top of the governor's proposal. I'm looking of getting additional 5 FTEs for the operation. Mr. Chairman, if you look at the budget, almost zero out on overtime, or maybe just zero overtime in the mayor's office. The mayor stretched the working schedule. It's not only Monday through Friday. We operate 6 days a week, and there's no overtime. What I did is I scrambled my personnel. I cut their hours in the working Monday to Friday, and we accommodate Saturday because of the demand service of the mayor. Lately, I think all of us witnessed it, that there's so many multi on the our island. And the mayor is the first responder to support the family members that are under emotional, because of the loss of their loved ones. So a lot of areas. Lately, we got again additional 3 multis. We buried 3, additional 3. So the mayor respond immediately to help. Those unfunded mandate, to provide water buffalo, personnel, to assist them around their resident, for the convenience for their visitors, to give them a moral support. So this is all the activities in the mayors. And not only that, there's another activities that the mayor's promoting. The 3 top priority is to promote safe communities, safe village, and a clean island. The summer now is on. Students also don't have any activity. So the mayor create these youth sports just to occupy these kids and promote a healthy lifestyle in our community, rather than see these kids been wandering around and, get tempted to commit crime or into a drugs activity. So this is all a lot of things in our community that, again, the mayor, and we all partner together and furnish the mayor, the needs. We can all solve these issues that we are facing in our community. So before we go down, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like my chief to do a presentation.
Sure, please proceed.
Good morning, Chairman and members. Thank you for the opportunity to present the fiscal status and needs of the Saipan Mayor's Office. Today, I respectfully emphasize not only our continued commitment to serving our people, but also our office responsibility in creating a safe community, safe village, and a clean island. A safe community. A safe community means creating an environment where families feel secure, where roads are maintained, trees are trimmed, stray dogs are controlled, and emergency responders can reach home quickly. Street and home addresses are clearly posted. It's all about eliminating hazards before they become tragedies. Dog control services. Our dog control program protects families, pedestrians, school children from stray and aggressive dogs. At the same time, provide companionship by adopting these animals. Home and street addressing. We've made strides in mapping, addressing, assigning, and posting these addresses throughout Saipan, a critical emergency response and tourism infrastructure. Community pride through events and festivals. Despite the financial constraints, the Saipan Mayor's Office continues to uplift community morale and promote local economy by organizing the annual Liberation festivities, honoring our history and uniting thousands in celebration. The Mayor's Youth Softball Cup and other youth tournaments fostering sportsmanship and healthy lifestyles. Holiday events, a special moment where we come in spirit and unity, such as the Christmas at the Sugar King Park. We have village cleanups and other seasonal and cultural festivals, such as the Mariana's Flower, helping families gather safely and reconnect with local traditions. These efforts not only encourage community engagement, but also stimulate small business participation and promote a positive image of Saipan to our visitors and residents alike. Safe Village goes beyond policing. It means reducing crime by addressing its root causes: boredom, lack of opportunity, and neglected surroundings. We achieve by providing community activities, including youth programs, our international exchange programs with students abroad, the sports programs that give our youth a sense of purpose, pride, and direction. It also means cleaning up environments that attract crime and pose health threats, removing junk cars, clearing illegal dump sites, and tackling rodent or mosquito infestations that often thrive near unmaintained properties. By improving the conditions of our villages, we deter criminal activity and create a sense of ownership and accountability among residents. A clean island is not just about appearance, it's about public health, tourism, and pride. We work daily to remove debris, clean roadways, cut overgrown vegetation, and maintain our public spaces as designated. A clean island tells our people, you are worth it, and it tells our visitors, this is a place we care about. Together, these principles are more than just words. They are a blueprint of a safer, stronger, and more connected community. The Saipan Mayor's Office lives through these values of safe community, safe village, and a clean island every day. And we, with your support, we continue to build on this foundation for the future of our island. Community safety and public services. Our budget prioritizes the essential municipal services, the backbone of a functioning and livable island. These include road repairs and debris removal and tree cutting. With road repairs and maintenance, we have repaired over 46,000 feet of secondary roads, improving access for family, emergency responders, and even school buses. This also provides access to our tourism. Junk cars. As of June 13 of this year, 426 have been removed away from our villages. This request continues to grow. However, we do our best to try to extract these junk cars despite our equipments are not in excellent shape. The unforeseen, unpredictable, unexpected. These were some of the things that were mentioned by Mayor Camacho. We plan carefully. Our office also bears the brunt of unplanned and unavoidable emergencies, such as funeral assistance, humanitarian aid, particularly our vulnerable communities. We get requests such as providing water for families to bathe because their lights and waters have been shut off due to no payment. The weather, another unpredictable, damaging unpaved roads for people to enter and exit their homes. These are just some of the few that are not budgeted line items, but we would never turn away from our people's needs. When our residents are in crisis, we do our best to assist. For FY 2025, 3.2 million was appropriated to the Saipan Mayor's Office. 3 million of personnel, operation about 187,000, and then the OPA 1% of 32,000. From October 1st, 2024 to June of this year, we have already expended 2.5. These are the top expenses with personnel at 1.8. Reoccurring expenses such as our contract for our office space, which is 120,000 a month, our legal counsel, and other contracts. Fuel and lubrication alone, as of date, we have already expended 143,000. Operational supplies, which includes our field operations and our office, of 107,000. Repairs and maintenance of our equipment, 91,000, and then all others is 109,000. Our current fund status as we stand is at 1.8 million. With the local appropriation, we have 1.3 remaining, which majority of that goes to personnel. Our SNIOD accounts, thank you for our SNIOD delegation for providing us funding throughout the years. We have a balance of 62. Our street naming is at 42,000. In case you guys are wondering, this is where we provide the damaged street signs and the unnamed street signs as well. We still have the charter flight tourism of 1,800. Our marriage license, 156,000. Bingo, it is at a negative. Dog control program is 3,500. Saipan resident ID, 95,000, and our MVA HUD funds of 157,000, in which we are trying to still get access so we can utilize those funds. Sorry, before we actually play that, I wanted to share with you guys one of our proudest achievements catered to our youth.
We're driving west to the coastline, and it feels like summertime as the wind is blowing by.
The purpose of this program that we created in my office is because of you. I care for all the youth here in the cinema. I want to curb these drugs. I want to curb this crime. I want to see each and every one of you succeed in life. I want you to demonstrate the youth power. What the youth power can do in our community. And you guys are the role model for the future generation. So I want to build this relationship so we can all promote safe community, safe village, and a clean island.
So we go chasing the sunlight. Yeah, it's a wild ride. It won't stop. Now this is our time. The best is yet to come.
Some of our proudest achievements as well is being recognized. We were recognized by the Council of Development Disabilities Center for Living Independently, the Public and Private Entity Advocate of the Year. We were a nominee for the 2024 Star Agency Award, the Saipan Chamber of Commerce, and a proud community partner with our Jotun Kizu Public Library. And I wanted to share that Youth Softball Cup was actually taking place back in March. It wasn't summertime. It wasn't any holiday period. And the feedback that we got that weekend was, Mayor, can we please do this again every month? Unfortunately, our response was we would do our best. However, we only are able to cater that one time a year due to funding. So as you can see that there were over 250 children who actually participated in that. And that is just one of the youth activities that we do have, that we can definitely get them busy in doing a healthy, active lifestyle and try to prevent them from actually committing any crime. With that, I conclude that why continued funding is critical for the Saipan Mayor's office. Our office touches every village, every family, and every public service. We just don't maintain infrastructure. We safeguard dignity, promote unity, and enhance the quality of life for all. This budget reflects not just operational needs, but the unseen labor and heart that goes into making Saipan a cleaner, safer, and a stronger home for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Chairman, I just want to add into this. I want to share with the members of this body. This program, the Village Residential Initiative Cleanup, this is not just along the road, cleanup. This is about the residential, and this never happened. In the previous years, this never been implemented. So I came up with this idea. This is not a new program. It's a program that way back, and I think Congressman Benavente, you can recall this thing, some of you, Tunmaranong Galabuk. And that's way back the village inspection. I talked to a couple of health specialists at the CHCC, And I was telling them that first they really praised the mayor for that village residential cleanup. I said, is there a possibility or probability that those are contributing to health issues? And the answer is yes. But it's not been seen. So now a lot of village, the first village that we clean out is the Chalankanoa, which is the old village in the island. So we did that. I mean, take out everything, scrap metals around your house, and let's get rid of it. Because my concern there is the breeding ground, the insects, the rodent, the mosquitoes, you know. We had experience one time about dengue mosquitoes. We don't want to repeat that. So that's the reason why the mayor implemented this village residential initiative cleanup. And my people now, they're in Kangmang. You know, and a lot of people, resident of Kangmang, I think Congressman Manglonia and Angelo Camacho can attest that we're doing this. And you know, you might be surprised, you know, the numbers of tires in the blighted property along the road. You know, we became trying to promote destination, but we're not doing it. So the mayor's really focusing on this thing. And the other thing I just want to share with you guys that I'm doing an indirect marketing to Japan, us. So I established already three different city in Japan. So we established this sister city. The first thing is the Katori city, then Omi city, then the Nobumitsu city. Again, yesterday, I met with the Osaka leaders. They were here. They are here now. We have a memorial ceremony tomorrow at the Marpi. Again, we talk about tourism. We discussed yesterday in my office, how can you help us, the Sinamai, to meet with the Japanese leaders and see how we can convince the airline in Japan to service us direct. So I'm doing all my best in kneeling down and lobby to them to help us. We're looking also at the Sugar King, and they're so proud to develop and to put the Sugar King as a Japanese town. So they all agree. At least that area, because the Japanese have a permanent landmark here in Saipan. Okay? So we need to continue this open dialogue with them. So they really inviting me to go down to Japan to attend the 80th memorial ceremony in Osaka. I cannot really say no. How can I go to Japan? How can I reach Japan? It's by funding. So I need the assistance of the local delegation. So again, I continue to do an indirect marketing to market us. So this is all the activity of the mayor, Jesus Masi.
Thank you, Mayor, for your opening statement and for your presentation to the members of the committee. First, I know that we see that your department request is at actually 5.4 million. And the governor's proposal is actually at 3.2. So I know that your opening statement, you mentioned 1 million in variance, but it's actually 2.1 in variance. So maybe perhaps, can we have more clarity on that before we continue with questions and answers?
Yes, you know, Mr. Chairman, you know, I've learned this thing and I've seen it. We're all struggling. You know, I know your task is not easy because of the financial that we are seeing. So what I've said earlier is the original proposal to the governor's proposal is 3.2. So I'm asking at least 1 million, not necessarily to reach the 5.
Okay.
Okay? I want to compromise in that bracket.
So that's what you are alluding to.
Okay.
I just wanted to make that clear to the
Yes.
members that it's actually 5.4 is what the office requested, and 3.2 is what the governor had proposed.
Yes.
And you're asking additional 1 million
Yes.
on your opening statement. So that's so clarified. So my next question is, I know that we also see that versus the current fiscal year budget and versus the governor's proposal, right? You were granted utility funds at 61. So my question to you, Mayor, is what source of funding is paying the utilities right now currently when you were budgeted 0? This is
That's-
great. This is great that the governor is giving you 61,000 in utilities.
That
for this
is from the SNIO under your leadership, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. And so my last question before I open up to the members, Ms. V, I see that under personnel on the governor's, the governor's proposal and with the budget on current budget for the mayor's office, there is a variance of about 5,274. Perhaps that's, can you expound or clarify to the members, are these are for fringe benefits or, because there is an increase of 5,274?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and everyone here. The adjustment is because of the calculation on the fringe benefits.
Okay, thank you. That's very clarified. So at this time, I open up the floor for any of the members, and at this time, I recognize the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Mayor, and to your team. Thank you guys for making yourself available this morning. May I ask the chief to go back to the distribution of the collections regard the one that has the slide that has the marriage license and all of that kind of stuff. This local appropriation that you're the 24-1, that's the budget, right? That's the amended budget. And then the SNIO accounts, how many SNIO accounts do you have? Or do they lump it all into that one account?
For the purpose of this presentation, I actually lumped all of the accounts into one.
Okay, so each appropriation, they give you guys a different account. They don't have like a Mayor of Saipan account automatic for you guys? No.
No.
Yeah,
no.
so each appropriation gives you a new account, right? So
Correct.
whatever, if there's 15 different accounts, whatever's left there, right? For
Yes.
because those are without fiscal year limitations. The street naming funds, are those federal funds that are coming in?
That was actually under a SNIO account, but I took it out under the SNIO account just because I wanted to show that 42,000 is dedicated to the street naming.
Okay. So, is that something that the mayor's office would be requesting? I guess the SNIO delegation to free up that money to utilize for street naming and other operational costs. Unless we're gonna have another 15,000 street namings here in Saipan.
Can you re-ask your question?
So the $42,000, right? I remember this appropriation from I think 4 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It was during right after U2. So some of these street signs were paid for by the federal government through the FEMA process, and I know that we appropriated monies for street naming, and the 42,000 are local funds, correct? So is in the mayor's office, are they in the position to request SNIO to not de-obligate it for street naming, but to allow more flexibility on those funds? Because right now they're strict to street naming.
I would like to still leave it at street naming because we do still have unnamed streets. In addition to that, we also have the system, the GIS system that we use in which we pay for the annual licenses.
Okay, how much is the annual license?
I believe it's 8,000 for two.
Okay. And then the charter flights, those are what your expense, right? Under the mayor's operational expenses, or is that a separate account? No hot taxes. Papa.
That is a separate account.
Separate account that was appropriated to the mayor's office under the general budget or from the local funds?
The charter flight tourism, I'm not sure because I'm trying to look under the Saipan local law, and I cannot find that's appropriate under the Saipan local law. Okay, that 1.8, that's the balance of what is remaining of that account.
Okay, so it's
That's an inherent.
That,
inherited fund. So some more like an operational cost that's, and then some monies were put towards charter flights, correct? Okay, the marriage license, that's the 156, that's currently in the account?
Yes, that's a revolving account, yes.
Okay, how many marriages? I'm curious, because right now it's at $150 per marriage for the license?
Well, if it's resident and non-resident, it has different fees. In addition to that, it really actually also bases on the number of marriages we do receive. We actually have been receiving, I have seen a decline because a lot of the marriages are non-resident, mostly from China. And I can pull up the numbers here real quick.
How much is a residence license fee? I know we passed that law a couple years ago. I just don't remember the number. Is it 75 or $100 or $50? Huh? Yeah, that was before you.
Okay, so the license fees actually are itemized, so to speak. So a marriage application for a resident is $50. A non-resident is $125. However, if the Saipan Mayor's office, if the mayor will be officiating, the ceremony fee for resident is $80 and a non-resident is $75.
Wait, can you go back to that?
Okay.
It's cheaper for the mayor to do a non-resident than a resident?
No, sorry. So the ceremony for a resident is $30. A non-resident is $75. A marriage license application for a resident is $50. A non-resident is $125.
So a non-resident would be $200 costs for a wedding,
Yes.
right?
And then on top of that, there's actually a fee for documentation, which is $25, and that's a flat for resident and non-resident.
Okay. In how many marriages, what's the average numbers? Let's just, never mind the resident or non-resident, just marriages.
You know, we had this discussion with all the agencies that are officiating a marriage, from the court to the governor's office and the mayors. Saipan mayors got the 3-digit numbers. The rest are only single-digit number.
So,
We reached up to the Saipan itself when we had a meeting with the Supreme Court. It shows 280. Yeah.
200.
The mayors really occupy his time doing this marriage almost every week.
Okay, well, I'm asking this, right, because I know that one of the asks, and we tried to pass to increase the marriage license fees, right? You guys have $156,000 in that account currently, and this is a revolving account. Maybe one of the things to consider in this budget is to increase the fees for this coming fiscal year. If you're looking at 3 digits, and maybe going from $50 to $100 of the basic fee, no, and then the $125 to $200. I can move forward from that. Whatever additional fees that are associated to the process for the mayor's office, that's going to be additional income for the mayor's office. Would that be something that the mayor's office would? I guess it makes sense for the Saipan mayor's office. Doesn't make sense for Road Antinian or.
I understand, but I just don't want to put a burden to the lovely couple to get married, especially our own local people.
Yeah, but Mayor, we want to be creative in making funds, and if we're not going to burden the lovely couple to pay for their union, we're gonna burden other entities in cutting them to get to the million.
I understand. I understand. We had a discussion with all the agencies in regards to the increasing of the fee.
Okay.
So there's already a discussion into that.
And I know, and that was something that was presented. We passed it in the House. It unfortunately didn't pass the Senate to increase the license fees for marriages. So maybe what we can do is include it in the budget, and this is going to be unforeseen costs on the budget. It's going to go directly to the entities that can perform these types of, So maybe we can do that in this budget too. And it's not going to show how much money you make, but it's going to definitely make you more money.
Well, of course, we're looking on all possible angle, how to generate revenue.
Okay, and then the bingo, why negative 885? There's no license holder.
Mayor, that was inherited, negative 885. The balance of that. So when we came in, it's already a negative number.
Okay.
So our next announcement for this license is upcoming on August.
Okay.
Okay, so every 5 years, we do an announcement to solicit for interested operator. So that would bring us to a positive on, because it's like a yearly fee. You pay for that for the next 5 years. Each year you pay the fee that has been awarded or been selected as the best fee to operate a bingo.
So currently, there's no license holder for the bingo.
There is, but the next, we're gonna be advertising for an announcement to interested bingo operator.
Okay.
It will expire on August, so we have to re-announce that and make a selection.
And that's just a one-time payment, or is it?
No, each year for the next 5 years, I believe it's 12,000 something
40,000.
a year.
The current business licensee pays about 12,000 every year.
However, if during this process of announcement, somebody bid for 14,000, the higher we go with, that's the minimum, the 12,000. So if somebody else bid 13,000, then the fee will go up to 13,000 per annum for the next 5 years.
Okay, so it goes to the highest bidder, no?
Right.
At the end of the day.
But we have a minimum bid amount.
So this negative 885, does that mean that they're not paying their license, or is that the account has been negative, and when you put in the $12,000, it's still a negative?
Right, the account has been negative. So when they made the reconciliation from the transfer from J.D. Edwards to Munis, they found out that the account has been in negative. So even when they paid the last license, it was still in negative. So when they paid when we received the last payment, it became to 885.60.
Okay, so it was a larger negative number. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The mayor, I know that we have the lottery law currently, in the central government, and part of the lottery law is the wetting. Is this something that the mayor's office would like to consider as a license also on the local level for wetting? So we can include it in this budget rather than do a standalone legislation, and maybe we can see how much it actually makes for you guys.
Well, I need to sit down on that, Vice, and see where we at on that, how we can generate, and to go through all the legal process. I want to sit down with that, layout.
Yeah, because right now it's allowable in the CNMI, right? And we can drop it down to the local level where the municipalities can actually make additional funds.
Sure.
Again, it's not going to show in how much you make on the budget side, but it's going to make money for for the mayor's office to be able to use for its operational costs and even
Mr.
personnel.
Vice, I really appreciate, that recommendation, and I really want to sit down with you, to make it happen.
Okay. And MVA hot funds, have those been consistent on the payments distribution?
We had a meeting last week, 2 days ago, I'm sorry, with all the mayors. And we're talking about that, the hot fund. We understand the situation of the occupancy. It's not there. Of course, it really drops. But, my concern here is not, we don't have access to take that. Every time my staff, the budget officer, my chief, trying to go in that account, been reject. So I was talking to the finance yesterday. How can I have access onto that account, which is there's a remaining of 151,000. 157,000.
157 as it shows. So you can't use up those monies right
I have
now?
no access to go in there.
Okay. So there's no account, technically there's no account that has been created for the mayor of Saipan.
The account is created. We are waiting to gain access from OIT so we can utilize those funds.
Okay, so it's under OIT. All right,
Yes.
so hot funds, okay. Go ahead, Budget.
The chief answered that question already.
All right, thank you for your answers, and we'll yield my time for now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice. Any questions from the members here? Let me recognize Representative Julie Ogo.
Thank you, thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Mayor RB and staff for coming in for the budget hearing. So I understand that you don't have access to the MVA funds as of right now, and you say because OIT still has to create an account or something like that?
I think the account has been, set, but to go in there. So I already had a communication there last night with the finance.
And then
So hope that this week, before the end of the week, we can start, looking at it.
So this is a certified amount, about 150,000 in that account right now?
Yes.
Okay. I was just wondering also because you were talking about indirect marketing, right? And with that indirect marketing, I understand that's outside MVA's plan, which is just through your office plan, right? When you do the marketing, your office does the marketing, do you utilize the MVA's HUD fund? I understand you're not, doesn't have that access yet. What other accounts do you use it from your official representation or travel expense?
I use mostly my official representation.
Okay. And I see that you're asking 138,000 for that. And official representation could mean doing that too, right? So you're intermingling the funds to represent or do an indirect marketing.
Yes.
Okay.
I
And
just
then-
want to make use of this thing because, the mayor in the municipality is, in Japan, they consider it very high. So the leaders in Japan, they're more towards the municipality leader, the mayor. So, I'm taking advantage on that to open this, double sliding door. Come in, let's work together. And I continue to emphasize
Yeah,
the
that's great.
importance, the
Yes,
value of
yes.
the island.
And that's great that you're doing that, outside the MVA's plan. You're making that proactive approach to bring more tourists to the island of Saipan at
Yes.
least, right? So, so,
And by the way, just 2 days ago, when we had this meeting with the Unified Mayors and the MVA, and also the Secretary of Finance was on the Zoom, and we talk about, partnering up with the MVA, for every movement, like the Liberation, Days of the Marianas, we should all be partner, because we're moving in one direction, to market us.
so also my other question is, once this funds is available, to utilize, what plans do you have with that funds what do you plan to do with that funds?
It's about,
MVA.
to bring this thing, reference to that funding generate from the tourism, the hotel occupancy, to see how to develop more, create more activity, community event with the tourism.
And that probably includes like fuels and lubrication. to clean
Everything
around the
it's
island.
it covers. Like today, the Osaka Japanese team that are here, they're now cleaning in Morphe. They're cleaning Morphe, so we're helping them. We're catering that. Okay, and again tomorrow night they're gonna be down here to join us the liberation because they're exiting on Friday. So again, that's as a mayor, I invite them to join us to witness that because the liberation is a big significant in them as a Japanese, because that's we're celebrating on the our forefather that been liberated 79 years ago.
All right, thank you. Are you for now?
Thank you, Representative Ogo. Any other members? Recognized leader, Representative Roy Ada.
Thank you, Chair. Mayor, welcome to the chamber and with your team. Just want to say, before I ask my question, thank you for all the work that you do and the initiative that you're taking, a proactive move that you always try your best to help everybody every which way, and I see your efforts. I really do. So now my question is, since we're on the topic of liberation, you had requested through through the SNIO delegation for assistance for the liberation. The last SNIO, which was a request of $200,000, and that includes, it says about all the logistics that come along with the liberation. That amount that you requested is to cover the entire operation of the liberation?
Not necessarily to cover the entire liberation on that 200,000. Of course, they use the portion of that because the liberation is also doing this, the nonprofit group. We have sponsors, everything on this thing. But yet, the other side of implementing it, putting all those stuff together, it's through my office.
Okay,
And that funding there.
I appreciate that. So,
Can I add on to that?
did you want to?
Yes. So part of the 200,000 that our office was requesting is just to share with you guys, the stage alone and lighting for 17 nights cost us 45,000. The tents and tables cost us 20,000. Utility alone, we have not received the actual number from CUC, but based on last year, that was 8,000. So a lot of the logistical behind it will be covered by that, and entertainment alone as well, like paying our local artists to entertain our guests, that's 15,000 as well. So there's a lot of expenses that will be used under that.
Thank you for that.
One thing as you brought up about this thing is about the liberation. In a year, it's not only liberation that we have. Taste of the Marianas, the Flame Tree, and others. It's a huge event. I think if we all get together with this body and the administration, and let's build a permanent. We have a property here at the Civic Center. We have a property down at the fishing base. Let's build a permanent stage so we're not going to rent, stage again, which is Arm the Lake. And let's build a permanent concession, just like something like in Tinian, the Taga Beach. Okay? So every year, we have these 4 major events. Okay? So we have one festival ground.
Right.
So that's what I'm looking forward to see how we can develop that, either through grant or whatever, how we can all partner up and build this thing.
I appreciate that, Mayor. From my understanding, that's actually in the works right now with SEDA. I mean, OPD. OPD, they're going to build they're going to build in that area where the Liberation Grounds is at, so that we can have something like, as you said.
Just for your information, I wrote a letter to the governor in reference to that.
Okay. Appreciate that.
To build a permanent site.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So, moving along with my question, how is the arrangement today with the Liberation Grounds and the vendors? What is the arrangement for
When-
each vendor?
So when you say arrangement, like, what do you mean? Can you
Like
elaborate?
the setup, like if you're gonna apply, how much do you pay? Like for a apparel vendor, a food vendor, fun and games,
Yes.
bingo, is there?
Sure. So if you were to be a food concessionaire, it would be $800. If you are just a beverage, meaning pro shakes, coffee, and things like that, that would be $500. If you are selling retail, like shirts or any items, toys, that's $500. If you are a game vendor, you pay $300. And then on top of that, because this year the Liberation Day Committee, which is the nonprofit organization, decided to add on a 10% tax upon token redemption. So at the Liberation Grounds, it is a 10%. It's all token based.
Okay, so, well, I'm gonna get into the 10% tax, but how much have you guys already collected for the booths?
Our office actually doesn't handle that. That's the Liberation Day Committee. But I do know, maybe rough math, I would say a little over 10,000.
Okay, and what are those fees for?
So the fees was supposed to help subsidize the expenses that we also have. So aside from the ones that I had shared, which are the heavy hitters, which are the tent, the stage, and entertainment, marketing as well. We have also the booklets for the program on parade, and a lot of logistical as well.
Okay, so when you guys collect the fees, you guys take it to the bank and deposit it into the bank?
Yes, the nonprofit organization has its own bank account.
Okay, so these liberation funds, are they, what are they used for? Other than just, because let's say that there is leftover money, what then? is the
Okay,
funds used
so maybe I can base myself based on last year. So in 2024, the Liberation Day Committee closed at 17,000. So basically, that's like their seed money for 2025, right? And so 17,000 is not enough to cover the expenses for the liberation. This is where the mayor comes in asking SNIO to assist in the funding. In addition to that, we actually also provide incentives, or not we, but the Liberation Day Committee provides incentives to the Royal Court candidates. So meaning we have candidates from Tinian and Rota. Because this is a CNMI-wide event, the committee pays for their airfare, per diem, and stay to be here and be part of the festival as well.
Okay. So then going into the 10%, as you stated, it's a tax to the vendor. Is the Liberation Committee allowed to impose tax on vendors? I mean, I don't know, I just want to,
From my understanding, it is in their bylaws.
okay. So, and then when you guys collect the 10% so-called tax that you stated, the Liberation Committee is not, does not pay any tax. It's exempted from it.
Can you re-ask your question?
You know, Mr. Chairman, if I may, can we yield to that questions and let's
To the
go in
committee,
the
yeah.
Liberation Committee? Because they have a chair, you know, in the Liberation Committee, and let's all sit down. Because it's not appropriate for me to continue to respond to those questions, you know, when it's a non-profit under the mayor.
But it is under the mayor's office.
I understand, but you know, because if I've known this earlier, I'll bring in the board members. But just requesting, you know, if we can yield to this thing. You know, I appreciate the question, Congressman, but again, it's not fair for me. You know, there's a sitting board. You know, I need to bring the board.
Yeah, Mayor, I think the leader is trying to tie the requests from the SNIO for the liberation and the functions of the liberation. So we're trying to get a picture on your request of 200,000, right, through the SNIOT to cater to the liberation, which we did appropriate 150.
I
We
understand.
didn't meet the 200. So I guess what the leader's trying to get is how much is generated from this liberation day so that we kind of
I understand,
take
Mr.
a
Chairman.
picture on this,
I'm
yeah.
not, trying
Right.
to, cross the line on
Right.
here.
Okay.
And just because it's not appropriate for me to continue to respond this thing when we have a sitting board, okay? Because I want the sitting board because they impose that 10% among them, and it's approved by them. So those are perfect questions because there's nothing to hide in this activity.
Oh, yes, I'm just trying to get
Yeah,
to the.
I see where you're coming from, but again, with all due respect,
Okay, so before I yield my time, Chair, Mayor.
You still have the floor, Leader.
You did request 200,000 from your official communication to the SNIO. We did unanimously support in the SNIO 150,000 to the mayor for the liberation operations. And to my knowledge, the governor also had, the executive branch had also extended their resources in the tune of $50,000. So that meant $200,000.
Okay, here's the understanding of that appropriation. It doesn't says 150,000 appropriate for the liberation. Okay, it says 50,000 include for the liberation. That's how it was written, on my understanding. The governor's just a blessing that he gave me 50,000 from, In
Okay.
addition to that, 150,000 is 50,000 to include for the liberation.
Okay.
No?
So in House Local Bill 24-12, 150,000 for the Saipan Mayor's Office for personal operation to include costs associated with the annual Liberation Day festivities. So it says here that it's 150,000 was given to you for the expense of the Liberation Day. And I understand not everything is gonna go to the Liberation Committee because this is just for your operation as to, logistics, getting your
Everything.
people down there,
Yes.
erecting, constructing the liberation.
Manpower,
Right,
all
and
of
everything
this.
like that. I
Yes.
understand. I'm just trying to get
Sure, sure.
where is it that, how much have you already accumulated and how much do you project you're gonna get for the liberation event? So, Mr. Chair, I yield my time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Leader. Any other members have question? Recognize Representative Malcolm Omar.
Thank you, Chairman, and welcome everybody, especially the mayor and his staff. I just want to go back to the bingo. What's the license fee for the bingo? The annual fee?
Currently,
Yeah, like how much is it for a vendor to be granted? What do they pay? The bid, like,
okay, so right now, the current licensee is 12,000, about 12,000.
12,000.
And so that license will be expiring in August. So our office will be issuing out another bid.
Another bid, right?
And the minimum for the bid is 10,000.
10,000.
Yes.
So, I know this was brought up by, because there have been so much bingo events, activities going on around the island and stuff. Does the mayor's office have they promulgated rules and stuff because with the current bingo license, right, it's just the licensee at the establishment. And then what about the other bingo activities outside the establishment?
Let me answer that. It's good. It's a good question. Yes, when I first came in as a mayor, I came across with a lot of concerns, complaint about, the bingo operator that been licensed. And there's so many outside the bingo license, operating for medical referral, all these things. So I sat down with the operator, the legal operator, and I says, help me. Help this medical referral. I don't want them to operate illegally, okay? Because it's only one license issue. So I'm asking the operator to help me help this medical referral, specifically medical referral. So yes, he took that seriously, and now he's doing it at the Vegas. Okay? So yes, if there's a medical referral, coordinate with the Vegas bingo, they will help you. But no longer outside. If they're gonna do it outside, it's gotta be sponsored by the Vegas. Okay? So there's an understanding already. I came across with so many, negative feedback, those things. Why the mayor stopped this thing? But it's not that we don't want. Okay? We want to go through legal process. So the bingo is only one license. So thanks for the bingo operator because he's considering the medical referral people. Okay? So that's the arrangement with the mayor's office and the bingo operator.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Chairman, I yield for now.
Thank you, Rep. Malcolm Omar. Let me recognize Representative Joseph Flores and then the floor leader Flores.
Good morning, Mayor. Mayor, in your opening statement, you mentioned that you needed the additional 5 FTs.
Yes.
In these FTs that you requested were for what section or what division in your department of
This is for all operation, the field workers.
field workers?
Yes.
I'm looking at this, the budget, there's a vacant position that is funded already.
I think there's 2 there.
I'm seeing there's a total of 5 community workers are funded. It's funded by under the,
Those are filled already, sir.
they're all filled already?
Yes. I think except 1, if I'm mistaken.
As of date, we actually have 3 vacant FTEs, and these were vacant after the governor's submission.
Yes. So this, okay, so you're requesting additional 5.
And that's include, the most recent one of my staff that passed away. Okay?
So and there's also
That's
like,
3.
so vacant position community worker, and then you still have a vacant for procurement specialist and tech.
No, no more. We've
It's all
actually
filled
reclassified those, and we've actually converted that to field operations. So the only vacant positions that we do have is one for dog control, one for our administrative services manager, and one for a field in which this staff just actually resigned last week due to off-island.
Sure.
You yield, Representative Flores?
Ayo.
Yes, recognize floor leader Flores.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mayor, for bringing your team. It's always nice to see you. I'm just going to start my questions off on the special funds, and then we'll just dip into the general fund after. So we were talking about several things. The first one is this MVA hut, and I guess Miss V is under organization number 51270-100. And that shows a balance of 4,143. Are these funds used to also aid in the maintenance of all of the tourist areas? The charter flight, 7068D.
That's, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. V.
Chairman, for that question. So 7068D, there's that balance of 1,808.
Okay.
And how the funds are allocated are basically travel, other services, other expenses, and advertising. And that's where the funds are being spent.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about the other expenses portion?
Other expenses portion, we would have to go back into the system and figure out what were those other expenses.
Okay.
They were just,
But they're not used in any way to aid in the mayor to maintain the tourist areas. Is he open to do that with those funds?
it all depends on what the statute designates
Okay.
on how those funds can be spent.
All right. And then they were talking about the MVA HUT 7068F. Okay. That also can aid the expenses in which the mayor needs for upkeep on the tourist area, correct?
Beautification, and then again, I would say, whatever the provision specifically states how that funds could be used. He could also use it as promotion, like with the sister cities. We just have to go back to the statute to verify what the provision specifically states,
All right.
how that funds will be spent.
Thank you. Mayor, do you have any interest in using that to upkeep your tourist areas, or will you be using that strictly for Sister City?
I want that money to remain as it is, to utilize flexibility. Because, if you talk about tourist site, that is tasked to the Parks and Rec. But what the mayor's doing, the entire island is all tourist site. Tourists are traveling, the thoroughfare, it's a tourist site. Laulo area, we maintain it because tourists are going there. So it's all over. We just don't want to cross the line because the Parks and Rec is really focusing on the site.
I understand. My question was, do you have any interest in using portions of this money to aid in your maintenance and upkeep for?
Yes.
Okay, how much do you think?
All of it.
So then you have no interest in using it for the sister city?
We
For your travel?
As what we've been using it, to use that money, because I'm using my HoR,
Okay.
to use that fund for developing
All right.
the sister city. So, that funding specifically about the occupancy tax. Okay, so yes.
Okay. Because the occupancy tax, the HUT, also helps a lot of parks and rec in our third senatorial district. It might apply differently for the first and second, but for the third senatorial district, that's why I'm asking. Because 157,000, you could easily, if you have, I assume Mr. Pangilinan there, if you give him a justified plan and come up with your spending plan for the 157, there should be some money for your sister city and also some money for the repair and upkeep of the tourist area. And when I talk about the sister city, I want to go back, and you can also figure out a way to use that for your, what is this? Official representation of $138. If we're creative, right? So, I guess maybe take a look at that, Mr. Pangilinan, and see what that money can be used for. Obviously, the mayor has ideas as what he wants to use that money for, which is pretty much flexible. But if the money's there and he has an idea, then at least we know that you've got $157,000 that you can work with, if you want to work with it, or you can keep it. I'm not saying do whatever it is, I'm just saying that it's there. We're just saying to be creative so that we can help each other during this difficult economic time. Okay, that's, no question.
Floria, can I add on to that?
Sure.
Yes, that is actually our intent. Upon receiving access to those funds, I do also wanted to share that I'm pretty sure you are aware that the MVA HOT funds is contingent on the, not arrivals, but the hotel stay,
Yes.
right? So this money actually fluctuates. So
Yes.
I really anticipate that once we do have access to that, we will definitely utilize and probably deplete this before the end of the fiscal year,
Got it.
because our dog control program as of now only has 3,000,
Yeah.
and we need to continue to get pet supplies as well.
Good, okay. And again,
But-
right, it's up to the mayor. I'm just looking at the funding sources, and I'm looking at the big numbers and
Rep.
just trying to.
Flores, just be careful Chief, what you just said, because the hot tax is very
Specific.
very restrictive to what you can use it. It's only for destination enhancement. You can't use it for the operations of dog control. Maybe you can use it for the operations of the field workers, but not for the dog control, unless we
noted.
can justify destination enhancements of getting the stray dogs off the road. Maybe that we can cover that possibly for safety. But buying food That's
Yes, I'll take
definitely
that back,
questionable.
but yes, for dog control, because there are stray dogs at our tourist sites as
Yeah,
well.
I just don't want them, and they might actually hold on to the funds now. When you said dog control, because we're live, they have access
Yes.
to this, what's
Yes.
going on. So let's be strict to what 18-2 states. And
Right.
I think she oversay.
I got excited,
Yeah.
sorry.
But yes, the dog control is included in that, under that verification, the occupancy tax because of the creation of that law specifically about the tourists.
Okay.
Right.
Can I proceed? Thank you, Mayor. And just because you just answered, I'm very curious, who's your attorney?
Mr. Michael Evangelista.
Wonderful. He's a good attorney. That's probably why you can figure out how dog control can go into the tourist area. It's a matter of interpretation. Quite interesting. Good attorney, though. Okay, so back to my line of questioning here. So I'm curious, how much is, where do you pay your attorney, under professional services?
Yes, ma'am.
53,000 is what you're asking for?
At the very budget.
53, it's not just, professional services is not just our legal counsel, it also includes our cleaning services.
Is there a reason why you don't have cleaning, but then you have cleaning services at 15,600? What is that for?
Yeah, 53,000, the budget says 53,000 for professional services.
Okay, and the attorney's fees is how much of this 53,000? Because it's contract, correct?
I believe I need to go back
Okay.
and answer that to
All
you
right.
later.
All right, so then how much of the 53,000 is isolated for cleaning services?
Okay. The cleaning services has its own category here under the 63300.
Mm-hmm. That's 15,600.
That's correct.
Okay. So you're not using
That's per
any of
year,
the
right?
53,000 under professional services to pay for cleaning services?
No.
Okay.
Because the cleaning service is not professional services.
I understand. I just kind of heard two things happening at once. Okay. But for professional services, that's used for contracts that the mayor may need, that is outside of the expertise of his staff.
That's correct.
Got you. Thank you. All right. And then we have Saipan Local Law 22-02, which Rep. Atal was talking about, on the street numbering and the two licenses you actually pay for. My question was, what is this annual license? What is that? Is that to like write out the street name, or what is it?
No, that is the subscription for the GIS and AutoCAD.
Oh, good, okay. And that's under, is that dues and subscriptions?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. And so on the other expenses, there's still some money there. Will you be utilizing portions of that to reprogram to pay for the dues and subscription?
Can you repeat your question?
So on other expenses, there is an excess amount. Will you be using other expenses to reprogram to pay for dues and subscriptions for the next 2 years, or at least the next year?
Well, the other expenses varies. It's not just on dues and subscriptions. You can cover any amount of other things that
Is allowable.
is allowable under
Right.
other expenses.
And the reason why I'm asking is because you have it under dues and subscriptions. The expense was 4,256. And I'm just wondering is that for 1 year's cost, Chief? 4,256 for the subscription of the GIS or GPS or whatever it is?
Sounds about right, because
Okay.
it costs about 8,000 for
All
two.
right. So because this period only covered 1 year, so will the 4,256 come out from the other expense?
But the dues and subscriptions also covers the other activities that the mayors have, such as his membership with the Mariana's,
That comes out of the mayor's street numbering account?
Mariana's Mayor's Association and other membership that we may have that is affiliated or associated with the mayor's operations.
Okay. And Mr. Pangilinan, you take that subscription and those fees that are due to the mayor's coalition or his, what you just said there, you take that out of, or you pay these expenses from Saipan Local Law 22-2 MOS Street Numbering Law. Is that what you do? Because that's what I'm referring to. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. I was specific when I said Saipan Local Law 22-2 dues and subscription under the Mayor Street Numbering Law.
I can give you a breakdown
No.
of all this, where this money are put in, because this is a combination, all of this is combinations of the different requests from the different sections.
Okay.
So when I put my narrative in and I put my budget in, I lump sum it to the appropriate object category.
Okay.
So on top of my head, I cannot really tell you how much goes to that and how much goes to this.
Okay.
But by the end of the day, I can break it down and provide you all the category if you so desire.
I don't desire that, but thank you so much for being helpful. Because on the general fund account, the department submission is 24,000, and that is asking for, that's included in the proposal to OMB. So the 24,000 could easily be reduced if you could use other areas such as dues and subscriptions in other special funding accounts, which is allowed. That's why I was getting to that point, is because on the general fund side to the governor's proposal, you're asking for 24,000, or at least the mayor is. But then on your special account, you have areas where you can actually, if we check and ask for clarification, if it could be used, you can actually cover dues and subscriptions on your special fund, therefore reducing the ask on the government and the coffers. That's all I was getting at, Mr. Pangilinan.
Well, I understand what you're saying.
Okay. But thank you. I think that you know your numbers too, and in no way am I trying to get into this debate about categories and stuff, because you've been working for the government longer than I've been alive. So I can respect where you're coming from, because you understand it more than I do. And in fact, I seek your indulgence sometimes. So thank you so much. And I'm just going to keep on. So now that we're at liberation, and I know that Rep. Ada was talking about some stuff, and I know you, Mayor, you didn't want to go there, but I think there is enough for us to continue to ask because of the appropriation which the SNILD committee had provided to the mayor's office to help with the Liberation Day festivities for this year. So my question following through was on Saipan Local Law 22-5, and I'm going to start back and move my way forward. Liberation Day 2021 7194C, there was a balance of $4,320. Is that still there?
You got that?
No, I'm sorry, I was in a conversation with Ms. Vicky. Can you please repeat your question?
On Saipan Local Law 22-05, Liberation Day 2021, subaccount number 7194C, a balance of $4,320. Is that still in the account?
Hold on, let me look at my numbers.
No?
What was the count again?
7194C?
7194C. Okay, this is still a valid account.
But there's no money in it?
There's only $22.37.
All right. So that was used for, all of it was used for Liberation 2022?
No, because the language does not, the language when it's written, it's never just for the liberation, to include the liberation.
Okay.
As it is put it, that we can use it for the mayor's different operations. Just as the same language that was included for the ADF anniversary and Battle of Saipan and Tinian, that includes the liberation, the Battle of Saipan, and the mayor's operation.
Okay.
So because we have been using the mayor's different accounts, we think that we can offset whatever we used already to pay for that particular activities. We're using this money now for the mayor's operation.
Okay.
So that allows us based on the language of the Saipan local law.
Got it. Thank you. So that's good that it's zero. Okay, now that brings me to Saipan Local Law 23-13, Mayor of Saipan Personnel Operations, account number SL049. And we've zeroed that out, I assume?
Yeah, I still need to work because, sometimes it's when we spend money and we look at our fund balance, I'm beginning to find out that, that sometimes the fund balance is not really updated on the munis. So when we spend the money, we thought that we have that money. But yet, when they update the fund balance, it changes the fund balance on the real number. So now, because it's a negative number here, we can do a transfer of account to bring this back to zero from one account, from one SNIO account to another, because it's still under the mayor's office, which allows us to at least offset that negative number. So the answer to your question, yes, you can assume that's zero. Once we make that transfer from one mayor's account to another, from this SL 046.
49.
SL 049.
Okay, so what is the balance?
Right now, the balance is negative 13,553.
Negative 13,000, okay.
Right.
And Ms. Vicky, is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. It's negative 13,551.37.
All right. So you can use this, again, the beauty of being, having the mayor is that what I've learned from Rhoda and Tinian is that you have the liberty to reprogram any way you want, as long as it's within within the law, number one, within the appropriated law that's applicable to the money being assigned to you, number two, and as long as you have the money to do it, you can. And the reason why I'm asking is because in this particular law, 100,000 was given, 97,500 was expended. Saipan Local Law 23-13, account number SL049. Okay, but it's negative, so it doesn't really matter. Moving along, Mayor. Saipan Local Law 23-19-2. Open, apostrophe, open, what is this?
Open, close parentheses.
Thank you, sir. Liberation Day Operations, 23-19.
It's SL 067.
Yes. And right now, we're showing an available balance of 148,000.
That's not correct.
Okay. That should be zero, correct?
No, that's 4,171.97.
All right. Okay. And this was supposedly to carry to this, was it last year, Liberation?
That's last year's liberation.
Okay. All right.
Okay, if I may, this money was given to the mayor's office last year on June 26th, I believe. Okay, so we get to use our money, our other SNIO money, to cover for the cost of the liberation, as we are now doing on the same with this Liberation Day festivity. We're covering the cost, and then once that money comes in, we will use that money for the mayor's operations, that 150,000. So it's not, so the money from the SNIO is sometimes late in arriving, but we have an operation that we must meet. So we must find a way to spend the money to make sure that we cover the expenses for this year's celebration. That goes to say with the same with this SL067. So now instead of using that for the liberation, we're using that now for the mayor's operation, because we already used the other SNIO money from last year to cover for that last year's liberation.
Okay, thank you for that. So you can also use this, you have the authority to use a lot of this money to pay for personnel or even overtime if allowable.
There's almost all the SNIO language allow for personnel and operation, almost, not all. But yes, you can use it for personnel, but we have more need to use it for the operations, since we already have allocated, allotted for personnel under the local appropriations.
Okay, so you do have the flexibility.
We have that flexibility to use it.
Okay, thank you. So, and Mayor, I'm sorry, how
Madam,
much?
can I use the restroom?
It's up to the chairman.
We
if
can,
you'd like to take
call
a-
We can take a
recess.
5-minute recess now.
I've been holding it.
That's good. Sure,
5-minute
no problem.
recess.
We are back on our budget hearing, and when we left off on our short recess, we have Rep. Marisa Flores. You still have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Mayor, for calling that recess. I guess the whole congregation in here needed a break. So I just have two more questions, and I think I should be done. But let's go back to this liberation. So you do have a committee which is a nonprofit committee under the mayor's office. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And then this nonprofit is now is allowed 10% of the total sales from each concessionaire. Is that correct?
Yes, that's been imposed by the board.
Okay. Now, what is this 10% going to you? What's it going to be used for? Total from the point you started collecting, when you started, to the end, the money collected, what is this money going to be used for?
Go ahead, Chief.
Okay. I actually started jotting down, and our board is actually listening as well, and so they did share. CUC, meal vouchers provided for volunteers, entertainment fees, licenses, permits, marketing and media, porta potties, royal court expenses, T-shirt costs, tote bags, basically giveaways, booklets, office supplies, logistical supplies, royal court, etc.
Which takes me back to the 150,000.
So the 150,000 was actually dedicated for like the tents, the stage. So the stage alone is 45,000.
Right, but you also mentioned utility at 8,000.
Yes.
And then you have utility again on the bottom?
Well, utility is we actually asked the board, because we don't have the funding, we actually asked the board that should we not get funding for that, if they can be the one to cover it.
Okay, so
Sorry for that interruption.
So the mayor is allowed to have a committee within his agency specific to the liberation. We've established that. You said yes. But where does it say that you can collect fees from the use of the land, right? Because this area is public land, right? And you're collecting fees from the nonprofit to subsidize a plethora of expenses. But when you collect the fee, right, portions of those fees, I believe, should go to MPLT in accordance to Article 11, Section 6. Because that's a revenue generating activity.
Let me respond to that. This is only once a year. This is not an everyday event, not every month event. Of course, there's an exception from the public land, to utilize for this community event. So this is so unforeseen, to count everything, the total expense, the mayor, for every liberation year. You're talking about resources, manpower, everything. So,
Okay.
if anybody interested in the government to take over this responsibility, by all means, take it. It's a huge responsibility to share with you leaders. It's a huge.
I understand, Mayor, and if there's something, again, that we love to do is host activities for our community.
Exactly.
I understand. I get
Exactly.
it. But there's certain things within the perimeter that must be considered before imposing such fees, right? And that conversation we're not going to have. All I'm asking is that you must take into consideration everything else. Although you have autonomy and authority to reprogram and impose fees on sections of what you can and what's in your purview, I understand that. But when you're talking about a nonprofit within an agency and imposing fees on a concessionaire who already paid $800 for food on top of their expenses, and then take another additional from that to cover, just keeps washing. It's I don't like the way it looks, but if that's something that that your board had said was okay, I'm assuming that legal was represented there because you are a man of just, and as a former police officer, you know that that's important to you. So I'm assuming that you had some guidance. But that's where we were going with this nonprofit, is the fact that you are imposing, this nonprofit group under your committee is imposing a 10% from total sales daily to pay for what you used as a term of unforeseen. I'm not here to lecture you. I don't see that as unforeseen. I think you have a very smart staff and a smart board to come up with a budget, the cost-benefit analysis, total expenses, and that should have already been covered from the very beginning. But if a food vendor is paying $800 to help this activity because they want to be a part of the mayor's liberation festivities, and then we turn around and take from their sales, I don't see the just in that. I don't see the fairness. So moving along, and I think the vendors can also feel that there is a sense of unfairness to that. So I think that maybe you should take this back to your board, and I don't know how many days and weeks are left, but maybe reconsider taking the 10% and allowing the vendor to utilize and take all their money, because on top of that, they're paying BGRT plus your 10%. And BGRT is not even 10. It's less than that. You're taking more than the BGRT. So my recommendation and my ask to you, Mayor and Chief, is if you can go back to your board and really reconsider whatever's left, taking back, rescinding the rule on the token redemption to cover the costs of the royal court, whatever expenses that you have.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to share with all of you that the board's intent to do this 10% is because every year we're always left to how much do we charge the concessionaires? Because while we do understand that Flame Tree has their own fees for 3 nights, Taste of the Marianas, depending on how many Saturdays there are in May, we're always left to how much do we charge, right? And with Liberation this year, last year was 15 nights, this year is 17 nights. And we always come out being the lowest with the application fee at $800. I do want to also set the record straight that if there are vendors who actually want to do food and beverage, we don't add the 8 and the 5. We actually give them a discount of $500. I will share this with the board, and I'm sure some of them are even watching this session, to see if they are even allowed by law to do the 10%. And I also do want to share that the way the organization was created, the Liberation Day Committee also pays BGRT. Yeah.
the Liberation Day pays BGRT for a nonprofit?
I don't know the exact story behind it, or I have not thoroughly reviewed their charter of organization as well. But we do. Our treasurer actually files the BGRT. Actually, because of the inconsistencies from the COVID situation to today, the Liberation Day Committee were also penalized for non-filing, so they also had to pay that as well. And that's just because there were board members that actually had decided to step down, and then it wasn't carried over until we actually got them full organized again.
Right, which was the fees imposed on your annual report,
Yeah,
about 4,000.
yes, that, yeah.
All right. And then, okay. So just so that we clarify, this liberation charged the 10%, but I just want to be clear that Flame Tree, nor does MVA charge a 10% on their vendor. And I think you, Chief, you were also a MVA director. So, unless I'm wrong, my only ask is you go back and have your board reconsider.
Yes, that
because
is correct.
times
And I
are hard.
wanted to share that this year, the 10% will actually help the board identify and determine how much to charge an application fee for the following year.
Okay, I'll leave that up to the board. That's a board function. But my function here is that it is a community activity in which vendors are asked to pay at your rate to participate, and then there's another ask of, on top of what they paid for in terms of license, another 10% is attached to that on their sales, in which they actually pay BGRT of 4.5% inclusive. So that's 15% in total that you're taking away for participation and local law taxes. My last question is, when we went through the special funds and all the government allocation from the SNIOD committee in 2023, 2022, Mr. Pangilinan indicated that some have zero funds, and I just want to make sure on the record that unless the committee had received a breakdown of expenses, one of the asks in this committee from the members is that anyone that is appropriated any money from the SNIOD committee, and Chairman, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or you can redirect or answer that, but one of the things that we did ask is that any agency or nonprofit that is given SNIOD appropriation, upon zeroing out the appropriated funds based on the law, expenditure and a report to show the expenses and where it went must be given to the SNIOD chairman and the committee for filing. So if you haven't done so yet, on those funds that were zero out, Mr. Pangilinan, if maybe you can ask OMB or someone to generate that report for you, and you can submit that to us, that would be great. I know that we don't have access to Munis, we don't have access, and I have asked many times under the Open Government Act, the Secretary of Finance office to produce fund balances. And since the 23rd legislature, I have yet to be given any fund balance, maybe some, but not all. And that's past the 10-day mark. So, Mr. Pangilinan, if you could maybe get together with OMB or SOF to generate those reports, I'd be appreciative of that. Thank you, Chairman. I yield my time.
I'll answer that question. Yes, I will be happy to provide a detailed expense of how those expenditures are spent. Okay, but we did submit our annual expense report to the Secretary of Finance as it is required by the law, by the SNIOD law. Okay, I did not recall on the SNIOD law that if the funds is zeroed out, that I have to report to to the legislature.
It is, it is.
Okay, but
Every appropriation from the SNIO, you must
so
report to the chair.
I will do that, submit a report to you immediately.
All right, thank you, Mr. Panglinan. Any further questions from the members? Is that it? Okay. If there's no further questions from the committee, at this time, Mayor, I want to again thank you and your team for coming before this Ways and Means Committee and answering the questions and sharing your concerns and your vision for this upcoming fiscal year of 2026. And if you have any closing remarks, at this time, I give you back the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and member of this body, Undaukulas Jesus Masi, for the opportunity, to converse with you in reference to the municipality level financial situation. And again, I want to continue, what I've been doing in the community and to make use of all these fundings that you guys allocated to the mayor. And again, report if that's necessary. By all means, I'm going to have my budget officer and my chief of staff, to furnish the report. And I want to be consistent, on this. And I thank you. You guys have given me a good question, to answer those questions to the best of my ability with my staff. And again, Undaukulas Jesus Masi, this is a very healthy discussion. Jesus Masi.
Thank you, Mayor. And with that, we move on our next order of business, and that is the announcement. And the chair will now announce that our next budget hearing would be on July 8th, which is already called, and July 10. And those are for the judicial branch and PSS. So with that said, we are now on our last order of business, and that is the adjournment. And the chair now adjourns this budget hearing.